How to taste wine, the 3-step tasting protocol. Hello, I'm Katie, the wine fairy, and welcome to my Sip Sense online wine school, where we'll sip and figure out the sense behind it all. Now you're here because you want to learn my 3-step tasting protocol and how to taste wine like a pro. Well, pour yourself a glass and let's get started. The idea is you always want to look at the color of the wine. Look how beautiful that is. Deep and dark and gorgeous. Now there are many factors that influence the color. The grape itself, the thickness of the skins, the amount of time that the juice spends on the time with those skins. Has it been oaked or not? Has there been extended skin contact? Is there sugar? All of these factors will really play a role into the depth and character of the colour itself. Now what I always like to do is turn it on its side and then perhaps look at it from above or right up close. Now if I do that, you can see you want to look at where the wine meets the edge of your glass. We call that the meniscus. The watery edge really is an indication of youth, and as the wine ages, that watery edge will dissipate into the depth or the center of the glass itself. So that's a really good indication of age. And of course, the darker it is, one would expect it to have a little more tannin and a bit more structure and weight because of the character absorbing from that extraction from the grapes themselves. Once you've understood a little bit about the colour and used some descriptive factors, obviously more so than just a white wine or a red wine, you're looking into the characters more of a, is it green, is it yellow with a golden hue, or is it a pale pink going to a deep, dark, ruby kind of garnet colour? All of these, as I say, will give you some direction as to what to expect in the next step. So step number 1 is colour. Step number 2 is aroma. Good deep breath. Give it a swirl. By swirling, you're releasing more of that beautiful bouquet. And smell again. Now you're looking for 3 different levels of aromas here. Primary, from the fruits itself. Secondary, from the fermentation process, and tertiary, the times with bottle age or time in the bottle or barrels during maturation. Now that layering of aromatics is really going to give you complexity and again indicates to the style and the structure of the wine. The last thing we do, of course, is palate. That's step number 3. We drink it. Go on, take a sip. Delicious. Well, what I always like to do here, and this is again where 3 steps come in, is you take the first sip, you just swallow it like you normally would, and then you get a little bit of an understanding of what's going on your palate. But the second sip is where the fun starts. You really work it like mouthwash. What you're doing that way is understanding the texture of the wine, and you'll get more of the flavor, texture, and the structure, as well as the fruits, the acids, and the tannins. Now, all of these things are very important when it comes to assessing the balance of the wine, which essentially is what we're doing. So with that second mouthwash, I want you to really work it, but don't swallow. Let it come to rest on your palate. Open your mouth slightly and breathe the oxygen over the top. Then swallow and breathe out through your nose. Now, you've got to be careful here. I don't want you to choke. Let me show you. Wow. Now, what you need to focus on is what's actually happening on your palate right now. Ooh, so much. How quickly the saliva comes back to your palate really is an indication of the fruit concentration or the juiciness that you have. The second thing I want you to focus on is your tongue itself. Your taste buds were smooth when we started this process, but right now, ping, they're standing up. So that kind of assertiveness of your taste buds is a great indication of the levels of the acidity. And then we look at tannin. Now, tannin comes from two places. Tannins, essentially, is formed in the grape skins and in the grape seed as well. So the longer the skin contact we have, the darker the colour, that's instantly going to give us a clue to the richness of the tannin, that's complexity coming through in the wine itself. Now, for me, in my experience, I often have that green tannin character, which almost, you can feel it as a chalkiness and a slight astringency. Now, for me, the more the skin contact, I feel that in between my lips and my teeth. I get this lovely chalky character. Now, the second place where tannins comes from is the barrels. So if a wine has been matured in oak barrels, you're going to get that lovely integration of character coming through. And on my palate, I experience the wood tannins down the side. And what you're looking for is this beautiful balance between the fruit, the acid, and the tannin. And that's essentially how you taste wine like a pro. But don't forget, you need a third sip. But the third sip you drink just like the first. It's delicious. But what I want you to experience here is how much softer that wine feels on your palate. There's so much more complexity and nuance that you really get so much more out of your glass after those 3 sips. And that is my 3-step tasting protocol. Cheers.